Next question up. We always start with the question sentence as always, and we'll begin by understanding that we want how many complete supply kits can we make? Okay, so how many complete supply kits can you make? Now, if I just read that question sentence alone without any other details, I don't know what's going on. I really don't know what's going on. But the word or words that I'll highlight here, I think the word complete is definitely going to be a word that I'm going to highlight because everybody, you tell me, in your head, when we ask for how many complete blanks of anything we can make, does the word complete sound like we're saying a whole number? Does that sound in the ballpark? Does that sound right to you? If I say how many complete things of these we can make, how many whole numbers of these can we make, right? So that's going to come into play. That's going to come into play in this problem, and let me show you how. So first, what we need to understand is just the premise, the situation, the story. And they say, hey, look, you have 88 pencils and 70 erasers. So first, let me write that down. This is what we have: 88 pencils, 70 erasers. And then it says, hey, each supply kit gets 4 pencils and 5 erasers. All right, sounds good. So we have 4 pencils and 5 erasers for each complete supply kit. Sounds good. So everybody, if we ask ourselves, hey, how many complete supply kits can we make? Well, here's what I'm going to do. This is what your typical student is going to do. Your typical student will look at this and say, hey, all right, how many can we make? Well, if I have 88 pencils and I'm using 4 pencils for each kit, I'm going to divide. Everybody off the top of your head, 88 divided by 4 gives us what? Yeah, that's going to give us 22. 100% correct. So let me go ahead and just draw this little vertical line, and I'll say, hey, this is 22 kits based on the pencils. Okay? 22 kits based on the pencils. But everybody, if I'm making 22 kits, let me show you this. I also need erasers in there. And so what I'll do is this. If I did 5 erasers times 22 kits, how many erasers do I need? 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 5 is 10. Carry the 1 is 110. Everybody, do I have 110 erasers? Do I have 110 erasers? No, I don't. So can the answer be 22 kits? No, it cannot. Because even though we can make 22 kits based on the pencils, you still need 5 erasers for every single one of those kits. If I'm doing 22 kits at 5 erasers a piece, that's 110 erasers. I don't have 110 erasers. So I cannot say that the answer is D. I cannot say that it's 22 kits. That does not make sense. Instead, let me hop over on this side. Let me go ahead and do some math over there. So let me erase this. Goodbye. And then let me ask myself, how many times does 5 go into 70, everybody? How many times can that happen? A little bit of long division, right? Okay. 5 goes into 70. 5 goes into 7 once. 2 left over. 5 into 20. That's 14. So boom. We have 14 kits that we can make. And over here earlier, we said that was 22 kits. But here's the thing, everybody. I have enough for 14 kits on both. Because if we can make 22, we can definitely make at least 14 with the pencils. And this is the maximum we can make with the erasers. So we can't make any more. We can't make any more. We can't make 22. We can make 14 with erasers, and that's the most that we can make with both. Because if we made 15 kits, we would need 75 erasers, and we don't have that. So we can't make any more than 14. As much as we want to convince ourselves that 22 would work, the answer is a maximum of 14. And that's the answer choice A, 14. So we've been seeing problem by problem that It's really about understanding the concept overall, understanding the percentage formula to know beyond memorizing, do we know if we're working forward or backwards? Everybody in this problem, are we working forward or backwards? And the verdict is, looks like the majority of us are saying forward, and you would be correct. So let's go ahead and first start with the question. What is the number of vintage collectibles? Okay, the number of vintage collectibles, that's what we want. Here's the very easy way of understanding how to get there. It says during a community art auction, 22% of the 600 donated items are vintage collectibles. Let me highlight that. 22% of the 600 donations are vintage collectibles. I'm just going to say are vintage. So when we check this out, everyone, isn't it true that the word of translates to multiplication and that the word are translates to equals? Absolutely. And so we have 22% of 600 equals the number of vintage collectibles. And guess what? That's what we're looking for right here. We're looking for the number of vintage collectibles. So are we in agreement in this problem, at least, that we are working forward? We're trying to find that result. We are going to multiply to get that answer. Booyah. Exactly. So we're good to go. Let's get it done. 22% as a decimal would be 0.22. However, everybody, if you are inclined to listen to me on some mental math, remember, all we need to do here is move that decimal place over twice to the left between either of these numbers. We can do it both over here, one here and one here, but just move it to the left twice in total. That's the little mental math trick. Because remember, what we're doing is dividing by 100. That's where that movement comes from. You can divide it here or you can divide it here. Because remember, I can show it like this. So you can divide this or you can do this. Either way works. And when you think about it in that manner, boom, this turns into 22 multiplied by 6. Some great mental math right there. And if you do 22 multiplied by 6, you'll get your answer relatively quickly. 2 times 6 is 12, carry the 1. 2 times 6 is 12, carry the 1 is 13. And our final answer is 132. We don't even need to deal with bringing any decimals back because we never had any decimals in that multiplication. The correct answer is B, 132. And there we go. Again, saving some time, step by step. So with that, let's keep raising the bar here, my party people. Let's keep looking at unique situations, new problems. We got this. So are we ready to move forward? All right, let's get it. So remember, everybody, start with the question, then look at the information, make your plan.